from the Moscow city center, where Artyom's journey began many months before.
What we're going to be seeing right here.
So you can play Metro Exodus many different ways. You can play, full, guns blazing, or you can take a stealth approach. The game tends to encourage that because it does become very difficult when you go all out, because it is a survival game. Ammunition is scarce, resources are scarce, but we've added a lot of elements to the AI and stealth functionality of the game to make it a lot more robust this time around. We've worked a lot on communication for AI so that it's a lot easier to understand what they're doing, without it being overt, without bringing in HUD elements that are unnecessary, which is something that's kind of a staple of the series. We like to really let you immerse yourself in the game and feel the realism of everything that we're trying to allow you to experience. And so a lot of these things come together. We've tried to really build on that this time around to provide a lot more of a dynamic experience where you can adapt the way that you approach a scenario, and the game adapts to how you're approaching, depending on what you're doing, what the AI sees you doing, and you're able to kind of change that on the fly.
Now we've seen some factions here, but it's not just other factions you have to worry about. You've got
last year at E3.
I remember that
was from this level, and we had the bear that comes out at the end, and he's back. He's in this level.
He's scared.
And,
the hell out of me.
And he's one of the creatures. He's in this level that the player is going to have to encounter. And there's also, I think at some point here you'll see some there's some wolves.
There's a wolf.
Yeah. There's some mutated wolves that you'll have to fight off, well, some factions are going to be just pure evil, as you would expect. Bandits are probably just nefarious people that are out for no good. But some might not be. Some might be neutral. Some will react depending on how you act upon them as well. So the game kind of adapts to how you play, because we really want you to feel like you are entering the shoes of Artyom, the main character, and assuming that role and deciding what type of person he is.
Right, fantastic. John, it looks amazing.
Metro, the epic first-person shooter series based on the novels by Dmitry Glukovsky and developed by 4A Games, pits players as Artyom, a survivor and Spartan ranger in post-apocalyptic Russia. After the critically acclaimed Metro 2033 and its sequel, Last Light, the series returns with its third and most ambitious installment yet, Metro Exodus. This walkthrough takes place in a level situated near the Volga River, shortly after Artyom, his wife Anna, and their fellow Spartans discover there is life outside the Moscow metro and flee the tunnels on a hijacked train called the Aurora, heading east in search of answers. The Volga is one of a number of huge open levels in the game. This is a bold new concept for Metro, but these self-contained worlds are woven together by more traditional linear levels. The Volga contains many hours of gameplay, but this walkthrough will focus on just a handful of segments in order to demonstrate the multitude of new features in Metro Exodus. Having been briefed by the Spartan Order's commander, Miller, to explore the area, players will quickly find themselves thrust into a dangerous and hostile world. Even far away from Moscow, radiation levels are still a constant threat, with players having to manage the time remaining on their gas mask filters in addition to their other resources. Scavenging for chemicals and materials that can be used to craft equipment and ammunition, therefore, is a must, and you'll be immersed within a world that constantly demands your attention in order to survive. The Volga level is many times larger than the most expansive level in Last Light, and is indicative of the new sandbox survival gameplay mechanic in Exodus. A critical narrative path is always there to follow, but these wild, open environments offer countless locations to explore and unique encounters for those who dare to venture off the beaten track.
That electric tower there looks like a perfect sniping position. Let's go.
Some of these locations may reward you with upgrades and new equipment, while others may provide greater insight into the lore of Metro. Within these huge environments, players will traverse the territories of the mutants, bandits, drifters, and survivors that inhabit post-apocalyptic Russia. Here, you'll see the AI biomes in effect, where humans, mutants, and animals will all react differently to their surroundings, depending on a variety of factors.
Look, a rabbit.
Players may see mutants hunting other mutants, and an open firefight could attract unwanted or maybe wanted attention. Early into their mission, Artyom and Anna stumble upon a group of cultists who believe electricity and technology caused the destruction of society in Russia. Having infiltrated the cultist church and rescued 2 of their prisoners, players must find their way back to Miller and the Spartans, and can choose a number of different methods with which to escape. As with any Metro title, Exodus places the onus on the player to choose how they progress. It's possible to play this entire level without killing a single human being, or if subtlety isn't your style, you can adopt a take-no-prisoners approach. Regardless of ethics and playstyle, however, there will always be a need to infiltrate areas with a level of discretion. Stealth, therefore, plays a significant role in Metro Exodus. With the ability to modify weapons in the field, players can customize their setup depending on the situation at hand. The flexible Kalash can quickly transform from long-range to close-quarters configuration, and with the right upgrades, the basic 3-shot revolver can be turned into a silenced, 6-chambered, and deadly accurate handgun. Crouching and sticking to the shadows will reduce your chances of being discovered by enemies. The blue stealth indicator on your wrist will glow when you're at risk of being seen. Interacting with the environment around you is also key. Extinguishing torches and creating a distraction by throwing tin cans to confuse enemies as to your whereabouts, allowing you to get close and execute a silent kill. If it's too difficult to approach from behind, a throwing knife will bring down sentries from range. If your presence is discovered, perhaps through a missed shot or by making too much noise and the alarm is raised, the game isn't over, but the rules have changed. Players will hear dynamic battle chatter as foes call out to their companions and attempt to pinpoint your location. Enemies will try to hunt you down as the game transitions into a frenetic action-oriented shooter. As you eliminate more enemies, some might finally realize the threat of your presence and surrender, forcing you to make a decision and decide their fate.
Praise be to Tsar Fish, the protector of the people.
For the full range of weapon crafting and modification options, players will find workbenches in small outposts scattered throughout every level, where they can customize their loadout. Everything from med packs and gas mask filters to ammunition and throwable items can be crafted at the workbench from materials scavenged in the field. As players use their weapons, dirt and grime will accumulate on them in real time, reducing accuracy and damage and making them prone to jamming and overheating. Resources can be spent cleaning and maintaining your weapons here. Another signature feature of Metro is the unique arsenal of handcrafted, improvised weaponry. There are hundreds of modification combinations that drastically affect a weapon's stats and performance as they are stripped for upgrades. Every component in a Metro weapon is modeled on real-life materials, such as a Soviet-era kitchen utensil that forms part of a heavy stock to provide stability to the Kalash, or the fan-favorite T-HAR, a pneumatic sniper rifle that fires ball bearings for silent, long-range kills. The T-HAR has its very own set of upgrades available, like increasingly airtight seals keeping up air pressure in the pneumatic system. Your equipment can similarly be repaired or upgraded at a workbench, allowing you to increase your protection or mobility with upgrades to your helmet or armor, or make life a little easier with additions like a compass to your wrist bracer. Outposts also provide a new feature to players: rest. You can change the time of day depending on how you want to approach your next challenge. During the day, enemies may be spread out, on patrol, and easier to pick off. However, you too will be more visible in the daylight. Attacking an encampment at night might mean enemies are sleeping or huddled around a camp. A more concentrated threat, but you'll benefit from a stealth approach. Even in such open environments, claustrophobic close-quarters combat is never far away. Players will still experience the tense, frightening encounters that have made Metro what it is today. But these moments of pure, anxiety-inducing combat are seamlessly embedded into the wider, open levels. With Artyom and the Spartans a considerable distance from Moscow, they will start to discover how radiation has affected different life forms across the country. Humanimals are a new mutant to Exodus, fierce and unrelenting. The A-Shot serves as an effective close-range weapon for this frantic, breathless type of gameplay, a marked distinction from more tactically demanding human encounters.
Check out those antennas some 200 meters from the Aurora. Alone? What the hell? And what did you all do? Artyom, get there on the double. Miller over and out.
Artyom's wife, Anna, the Spartan Order's top sniper, has gone missing, and players now have a new directive to find her. Mission updates will be marked on a player's map, a physicalized object that you can access at any time. Metro avoids the clutter of HUD and UI wherever possible, communicating all critical information through tangible, tactile objects to increase immersion. Whilst nighttime can provide cover, it brings its own set of challenges. A watchman on patrol can spell danger, and if not dealt with, it will call its pack to ambush you. And in a world rife with dangers, a more mysterious threat is that of the anomaly, a roaming electrical phenomena that expels radiation and will kill you if it gets too close.
Artyom, I heard you call me. It was so great there. But I heard you and couldn't leave you.
Upon finding Anna, it's clear the effect of radiation in an enclosed environment has taken its toll. Artyom will need to find a way to open the doors in order to get out in time before the gas mask filters run out. Although much of the surface is breathable now, Metro Exodus retains the claustrophobic, gas mask gameplay that the series is known for, where your Nixie watch ticks down the minutes and seconds of air left to breathe. In comparison to previous Metro titles, players can craft new filters in the field if they have sufficient materials to do so, but it will always be under constant threat of mutants and limited resources in this haunting, atmospheric setting. If your gas mask gets damaged, you also have the ability to make a temporary field repair, although until you can find a workbench, your vision will be somewhat compromised. Nothing a little duct tape can't handle for the time being, though. One of the key new aspects of gameplay in Metro Exodus is the dynamic weather system and a day-night cycle that offers tactical opportunities. At the midway point in the level, Artyom must steal a train carriage to add to the Aurora so that they can transport the additional survivors that have joined the Spartan ranks. With the darkness of nighttime and the storm providing cover, players will want to whittle down the large number of bandits on guard, one by one, as they keep to the shadows in a stealth assault. The train yard is just one of many settings that demonstrate the progression seen in Exodus from previous Metro games. The classic Metro gameplay elements of human and mutant combat, stealth and resourcefulness, all set in tense, frantic and often claustrophobic environments, are ever present. Juggling the charging of your battery to keep power flowing to your night vision goggles, disabling tin can traps, keeping air pressure in the T-HAR high, all while staying alert to the hostility around you, are all part of the unique and highly engaging gameplay that has made this series so revered. Attention to detail is another contributing factor to that status. Everything in Exodus is built on real-life lighting, materials, and physics. A knife thrown into enemy armor may not penetrate deeply enough to kill them. Just like you can extinguish lamps, shooting them will cause them to explode and a fire to spread. As a player, you will need to hone both your aim and tactics in order to successfully navigate your way through the game. This was just one brief stop on an epic journey across post-apocalyptic Russia. Metro Exodus offers a world of stunningly rich environments to traverse and explore, new and overhauled gameplay mechanics, and unsurpassed attention to detail. For fans of the series and newcomers alike, the gripping next chapter in Artyom's story promises countless hours of tense and exciting exploration ahead.
video, we present a demonstration of real-time ray-traced global illumination on Nvidia RTX in Metro Exodus. Ray tracing has long been regarded as the standard for offline rendering due to its ability to accurately model the physical behavior of light in the real world. A single ray trace operation searches for the shortest, straight-line path between the pixel currently being drawn and some arbitrary polygon elsewhere in the scene. This search can end up potentially landing on any given polygon anywhere in the entire scene, and with polygon counts ordering in the millions, this can be a very long search indeed. This is why ray tracing has earned itself a reputation for computational intensity. The Turing hardware in Nvidia RTX is capable of performing many of these searches simultaneously. In the scenes we present, several 100 million such rays are cast every single second. Even at these rates though, we still need to be strategic about how we use each ray, since this equates to a budget of roughly 3 rays per pixel per frame. And so we made decisions right from the start about how best to utilize these rays to get the best results for Metro Exodus. The scenes currently playing give us a much deeper look into the demos that we presented at Gamescom, directly comparing our old and new lighting technology. They are captured in-engine during the course of actual gameplay on an RTX 2080 Ti at a resolution of 1080. Performance differences between RTX on and RTX off attest to the cost of ray tracing algorithms, but also demonstrate the high performance of new cards using conventional rendering techniques. We see how light streaming in through the windows and open doorway bounce off of the brightly lit floor and transfer some of the information to the ceiling, the walls, and objects which would otherwise be in shadow. These parts of the scene do not have a direct line of sight of the sun, and so would otherwise be completely black if we only used a single directional light source, and we were to not perform other checks for secondary lighting interactions. Global illumination aims to model how soft, diffuse light bounces around the scene to reach the dark, shadowy recesses hidden from view of regular direct light sources. Conventional global illumination systems are actually a product of a number of subsystems working together to create a final image. To approximate ambient light, we would have spent a lot of time placing and tweaking subtle point lights. These help to add soft light to the occluded regions but are not representative of true physical lights, and so appear noticeably unnatural. With RTGI, rays generated by surfaces in these dark regions sample other surfaces in the room to calculate how much light is reflected in their direction. This allows any arbitrary surface in the scene to act as a subtle area light source, and it allows us to calculate at a much more accurate, per pixel level, how much light should be received from the environment. Our algorithm works by having each pixel dispatch its set of rays in a pseudo-random distribution in a dome above the surface that that pixel belongs to. By applying a filtering process, which makes use of the rays created by the surrounding pixels and by rays generated in the previous few frames, each pixel will ultimately have access to the information of many cast rays in many different directions, and thus have access to many tested surfaces to determine how much light should be reflected from the environment on towards the camera. By removing the additional lighting methods, we not only reduce the amount of time that we would have spent fine-tuning these scenes, but also those dark hidden surfaces now accumulate light automatically. Also, they can respond dynamically to new lighting situations rather than being stuck with a pre-built solution. Light in the real world travels effectively indefinitely until it either reaches the surface we are rendering or is blocked by another surface. On the inside and underside of this vehicle, we see how screen space ambient occlusion alone would not be enough to generate realistic shading. Screen space ambient occlusion limits us to the information contained in just a small region of pixels surrounding the rendered point. The area that these pixels cover may have been as small as just a few centimeters across in the real world. A few centimeters with which to say which directions light is ultimately blocked from and which it is not. By casting rays over long distances, we can safely determine how many or how few rays reach the target pixel. Regions of the scene that are large and open enough to not be shaded by screen space techniques, but which still have very few direct lines of sight of the bright parts of the scene, now darken appropriately. Without casting rays over a significant distance, sometimes many meters, we cannot, for example, determine how little light should penetrate the enclosed architectural features, vehicles, or deep into the mass clutter of objects. Since light can reach the point being drawn from any direction within the dome above it, casting rays in random directions above the surface allows the surface to respond to many large, irregular light sources, independent of where they are in the scene or how they move relative to that point. The results presented here demonstrate a technique that simplifies and improves upon the previous generation of techniques by combining disparate rendering technologies into a single unified algorithm. This new ray-traced global illumination algorithm benefits from access to a wider range of scene information and greater physical accuracy, and enables the creation of more realistic and more believable environments in potentially shorter development times. RTX assists in creating open, natural environments as well, lit appropriately according to the contributions from sunlight alone. This concludes our presentation. Ray-traced global illumination will be available in Metro Exodus on Nvidia RTX technology on February 22nd, 2019.
And the skies rained missiles, and the ground burned to ash, and the seas boiled, and people turned into shadows. So let us not fear the heretics at our door. Even with their iron steeds standing before us, stinking of machine oil and shining its heretical light upon us.
Remember, most of the country has been destroyed or occupied. Even those who speak our language might be enemies, by conviction or out of fear.
We will not falter! Let us steel ourselves against them! For this is our hour of glory! Amen!
Let's move out, Artyom.
And if the heretics come for our lives, we will stand firm! You got me, you damned heretics! Artyom, jump!
The fuckers tied me up so tight I can't feel my arms. Look, man, the rope's too tight. I can't free myself. I owe you a big one, and I'll never forget this, I swear. These forest fuckers just left me here for the wolves. Anything suspicious here? Everything's fine. Give it a rest. All right. I guess I'll go.
Yeah, dude, there's over there! I see him! He's in! Window, I just saw guys! What are you?
You dirty bandit!
Eat that one! We got it all!
It's him!
Intruders here, guys! I think that it's you! He's down there!
The intruders hit that bed!
Eat that one!
Speak, pirate! You summoned the council, so take the word first. You don't respect the teacher's word! What is that supposed to mean?
You let an intruder go. He could lead the others here. He saw all of our positions here.
Nobody let him go. He escaped. The guard was distracted, and he's being punished. Ha! Well, more intruders come and start cutting you to pieces. That's going to be a...
Yeah, you'll be running around pissing your pants and shouting, "We punished the guard." Or maybe you'll just surrender.
Running is your forte. You said you were going to hold the lumber mill and ran. Don't you dare! The boys died there to the last man. The deadlands are spreading. Holding that is harder than keeping one intruder under a lock.
And we will hold the swamp camp. Don't be afraid, weaklings.
You say that again and I'll deck you. Watch your tone. But he was saying shit about the boys who died there.
All right. Anyhow, you pioneers shat your pants. Now we'll have to board the train. Better than waiting for their attack.
Remember the teacher's word.
We defend ourselves. Attack is the best form of defense.
What? I don't remember the teacher saying that! The teacher said you have to read. So we read that in our book.
Well, if you read that in your book, then you can attack, and we won't. The teacher also said that you can't just kill everyone. You'll have to take them to the forest court.
Ah, we expected as much from you. All right, we can handle it ourselves. And we'll hang the second intruder from a post once we catch him.
He's not a bandit, and he didn't hurt the girls. He only defended himself. Why kill him?
Because he's an intruder. Because he came here like a bandit, so he'll get hanged like one. And I dare you to say we are bandits.
Is that a threat?
It's a warning.
Enough! I declare this session closed. And now, as hospitality dictates, let's eat together. Hey! Why did you stop? Hey! Son, go check on that drum wizard. Something's off. Yeah, sure. We can only hope for something to happen to that. Are you riding there? Who's in charge here? Sure I am. What else can I do?
Good. I know already. I will.
And there's more. And the other boys from the third barracks. Where the hell are these fuckers hiding? Don't worry. The two we caught will talk soon. We shouldn't have come here. It's all going... Fuckers never... That's for sure. We're all getting whacked here.
That bitch is there! Gotta reload, people! We're fucked! Let's get out! There he is! At the campfire! Catch a bullet, you motherfucker! The bitch has got one of us! Die, you fucking bitch!